And now finally, it's time for the story which is written on this tape. Number 4 in the My Little Pony mystery series. Who are the human helpers? But we must warn you once again. Do not listen to this tape within 5 hours of bedtime, or otherwise you just might have a very bad nightmare about the 22 black ponies who are running around in Ponyland trying to capture all of the MLPs. But can the little ponies stop them before it's too late? Listen on to find out, but only if you're certain that it's not within 5 hours of bedtime, and that hopefully you won't have a nightmare. My Little Pony Mystery number 4. Who are the human helpers?
I am so tired,
said Dodge, stretching out and finding himself on a red blanket.
Hey, what's going on? This is not my hutch. This is not my hutch. This is not a 7-story hutch outside my owner's house, and certainly I do not see any pieces of cucumber surrounding me. Where is my cucumber cake?
Oh, calm down, Dodge,
said Twinkle, also yawning.
If you remember, you have come to visit us in Paradise Estate again. You came and you are now sleeping in my hutch, which is attached to the wall of Paradise Estate by my owner's bed, just in case you had forgotten, you silly sooty-nosed animal.
Oh, yes. Of course, I had forgotten. But now I remember perfectly. Sure, why is it that I've woken up? It's only 8:15. Not nearly time for supper yet.
Supper? Are you going to share your supper with me?
asked Twinkle.
Oh, I suppose I have to, because you are sharing your bed with me. Oh, no.
That means giving you one of the cucumber cake. Well, if you'll share your cucumber cake, I'll give you some of my celery tarts tomorrow.
Okay, then. Right. Well, if that's what we're going to do, then the next thing that I'm wondering about is why did I wake up? My owner isn't anywhere around me, is he? Sure, he can't have woken me up.
But then the 2 guinea pigs looked out and found that both of their owners were not where they had been when the 2 guinea pigs went to sleep. So where were they? But then Twinkle and Dodge saw their owners walking through the bedroom door of Paradise Estate and began squeaking excitedly.
Cucumber? Celery?
cried the 2 guinea pigs.
Cucumber, you've brought me some cucumber cake. And that must be why you left it warm. I smelled it, I'm sure I did. And celery tarts! Celery tarts!
Shouted Twinkle. No, I'm sorry, Twinkle, but that's not actually why we've come, said his owner. We have just come in here because, well, we were just wondering. When we were last in the Black Pony of Darkness's castle, when the Black Pony of Rain captured us, I suppose you didn't take any notice. Those people who were passing our food through, you never overheard them saying anything to tell us what their names were.
No, I'm sorry, we did not. I was so hungry,
said Dodge. It was now the 4th of April, and so they had not been in that dungeon for about 2 weeks. Oh, that's okay, Dodge. I just wondered.
Yeah, well, I don't remember, I'm afraid. But actually, I don't remember one name. No, I remember two. 2 humans were posting our food through that little door, and they mentioned, well, they were talking to each other, and they mentioned each other's names as they spoke. It was a girl and a man, and the girl said that the man she was speaking to was called Rob Woolley. I do remember that. And the girl was called Holly Smith, I'm sure.
Thanks, Dodge. That's a great help. And the 2 ponies trotted off over to the other side of the room, and Dodge watched as his owner wrote something in a book.
What are you writing about? I hope you're not commenting on the way I just said those names. Or perhaps you're writing down my next feeding time?
No, actually, said Lofty, walking into the room. I have just been speaking to them. They were just telling me, you know, we found out the names of all of the black ponies, all 22 of them. Well, you know, we also know that there's a helper for each and every black pony.
Yes? Yes, we know that, Lofty. Come on, what is it? What is it?
Well, we were just thinking, wouldn't it be good if we knew who all of the helpers were? Do you remember? We read in that History of Ponyland book that some of the humans are related to Desiree, which we were very shocked by, but Desiree knew nothing of it. So, well, we were just hoping that we could gather a list, but as far as I know, Rob Woolley and Holly Smith are not related to Desiree. No, I think that if they were related to Desiree, we would have heard of them, said Pinkie Pie, who had come from Ponyville to visit the little ponies. I don't know, though. I don't know much about Desiree, but you lot have known her for a long time than me, so probably she'd have mentioned them to you. Yeah, I suppose you're right. So, it seems that it's probably one of the other 16 helpers that we don't know. So I was thinking, said Truly, that perhaps it would be a good idea if all of the little ponies in Dream Valley thought very hard about when we were in the Black Pony's castle. We've been in there so many times. If anybody can think of any names of the Black Pony's helpers, we'd be very grateful if you'd tell us so that we could write them in this book. All of the little ponies thought hard for a moment, and then for a little while longer. Lots of the ponies came forward and mentioned the ponies that Truly and Lancer already knew of: Mary Cluckton, Eleanor Glastonbury, Ashley Vermilio, Susan Dewberry, Rob Woolley, and Holly Smith. But by the time that they'd spoken to every single little pony in the room, they had only found out about 2 more helpers. Cupcake remembered quite a while ago that the Black Pony had called out a message for helper number 6, Ronnie Leach. She even remembered the exact words of the message and repeated them to Truly and Lancer. I think it's time for another speech. I'm calling you helper number 6, Ronnie Leach. But then I remember that a little man ran across a bridge. He fell into the river, but I have seen him since, but I can't quite remember where. And Scrumptious also remembered a helper whose name was Katie Dewberry. And I was just thinking, well, perhaps, Katie Dewberry, perhaps she is somehow related to Susan Dewberry. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? The ponies had to agree that it did. Perhaps Susan Dewberry had somehow got Katie Dewberry a job as a Black Pony helper. But that was all that the little ponies in Paradise Estate could remember. Truly, Lancer, Lofty, Pinkie Pie, Twinkle and Dodge decided that they'd go and see Desiree the next day and ask her if she remembered any names of helpers. But if she didn't, Truly, Lancer, Lofty, Pinkie Pie, Twinkle and Dodge didn't quite know where they'd go to find out any other names of ponies. Who else could they possibly ask? It seemed like Desiree was their last hope. So they just hoped that she could remember some names of some helpers, and perhaps also she could help them by telling them who was likely to be a Black Pony helper in her own family. It was almost 3:30 when the ponies and guinea pigs went down the rainbow to Desiree's garden. They found her in her garden pulling some weeds out of the flower pots on the patio. The ponies and guinea pigs managed to get behind Desiree without her even noticing them. She was so engrossed in what she was doing. But then Dodge went up and nudged her foot. She looked down. "Splodge," she said, "how did you get out of your cage?"
I'm not Splodge, it's Dodge. I've come down the rainbow with my owners, Lofty, Pinkie Pie, and Twinkle, and we wanted to ask you if you could help us.
"Oh, I don't know if I can help you, but I'll try," said Desiree. "Where are the ponies and Twinkle?" Desiree looked around, but because the ponies were behind her, she didn't know where they were. "We're right here," said Lofty, stepping forward. Desiree turned round and saw the little ponies standing in a row in front of the house. "Well, okay then," said Desiree. "How can I help you?" "Well, we were just wondering if you could have a look at this list," said Truly, handing the book to Desiree.
Yeah, it's a list of all of the Black Pony helpers that we know about,"
said Twinkle.
"We were wondering if you knew of any others, but even if you didn't, if you knew anything about these helpers, because we know that some of the helpers are related to you, but we don't know who, and we wondered if any of these were, and if you could tell us about any others, and fill us in on any details, and..."
All right, said Desiree, turning the pages of the book quickly to the list. And then she saw it. Mary Clarkton, Eleanor Glastonbury, Ashley Vermilio, Susan Dewberry, Ronnie Leach, Rob Woolley, Polly Smith and Katie Dewberry.
Well, can you help us?
Said Twinkle. I'm afraid I can't help you much, but then it started to pour with rain. We'd better get inside, said Desiree. And so all of the ponies, guinea pigs, and Desiree ran through her back door, where they found Jackie Alder sitting writing a letter. Well, I can tell you that I have heard one other helper mentioned, said Desiree. Sarah Lewis, but I don't know who she is. I heard one of the black ponies. Again, I don't know which one. I just heard a black pony's voice. And he was speaking to who he said was his helper, Sarah Lewis. But I don't know any more than that. But I can tell you who Ronnie Leach and Rob Woolley are.
Oh, okay then. Can you tell us who Rob Woolley is?
Well, I can't tell you precisely who he is, but I do know that he writes in a magazine called Collect It. He did write an article about My Little Ponies a few years back, but I don't know what he looks like or anything about him. I know that from his article about ponies, he did seem to be obsessed with money. What this is worth and what that is worth, even when it isn't worth a penny.
Money. What could it have to do with money? Perhaps the black ponies like money. Perhaps that's why they capture us. Perhaps they're hoping to sell us for money. But then, does the other one have anything to do with money? Ronnie Leach. What does Ronnie Leach have to do with money?
Well, I think he likes money as well, said Desiree. But
what else can you tell us about him? Yes, tell us about him, not about money. I'm beginning to think that you're as obsessed with money as the sooty-nosed animal is obsessed with cucumber.
well, I can tell you...
No, let me tell them about him,
interrupted Jackie, and she went into a long lecture all about Ronnie Leach's life story. Dodge and his owner wrote down important notes.
Well then,
Said Dodge when Jackie had finished.
perhaps it's not that there's someone actually related to you who is one of the Black Pony's helpers. Perhaps it's just Ronnie Leach.
Yes, I suppose you could be right, said Desiree. I can't remember the actual wording of the book.
Neither can I, but perhaps if well, when we go back up the rainbow, we'll have a look. Sure. The question is,
Said Twinkle.
how are we ever going to find out about the other Black Pony's helpers?
I think there's only one way, Twinkle. As much as I don't like the idea, said his owner, I think we're going to have to go and search around Nightmare Land for any kind of evidence to tell us who the other helpers are.
Oh no, I don't like the sound of that at all,
said Sparkle.
but I suppose we'll just have to do it.
Said Splodge. Well, when would you be doing that? Said Desiree.
Well, if it's alright with all of you,
said Pinkie Pie.
I think we should probably go tomorrow, because it's gonna get dark soon, and it's also raining quite hard. I think we should just go home, and then tomorrow we should do it. A splendid idea, I think,
said Sparkle, and all of the ponies, and Splodge, and Twinkle, and Dodge, and Desiree, and Jackie agreed that this was a splendid idea, and decided that they would all go and search for evidence of other Black Pony helpers tomorrow. The question was, would they ever go back home again? Because the Black Pony of Darkness, or one of the other Black Ponies, or even one of the helpers that they were going to find out about, could capture them, and then they may never return from this adventure. And the next day, they didn't return from the adventure, but that was probably because they didn't set out on any adventure anyway. Because Desiree had come up the rainbow, but when she had arrived at Paradise Estate, she had found that it was pouring with rain. Flashes of lightning lit up Dream Valley, and the thunder rattled Paradise Estate's windows. There was no way they could go on their adventure today to discover how many helpers the Black Ponies had, and just who their helpers were. And so they agreed with Desiree that they would meet up outside Paradise Estate tomorrow, and they would have to go and see if they could find anything else out about the Black Pony the next day, whether it was raining or not. And so it was that at 2:10 in the afternoon the next day, Desiree and Jackie Alder went up the rainbow and found their little pony friends waiting for them outside Paradise Estate. An hour later, at 3:10, the ponies, humans and guinea pigs were preparing to go on their long journey. They had discussed it over the last hour and had decided that they would go in Lofty's hot air balloon down to Nightmare Land and just see if they could overhear anything from the sky. If not, they would land just outside a dangerous iron gate, which was in the middle of the iron fence which surrounded Nightmare Land. And they would listen through the gate and see if they could hear anything from there. If not, they would give up. Perhaps another day they would go and land inside Nightmare Land. And so they set off. But they knew it would take them until about 6 o'clock to get there. So, as they floated towards Nightmare Land, they ate some food that they had brought with them. Because who knew? This could be the very last meal that the ponies, guinea pigs and humans were having for quite some time. Because if one of the Black Ponies caught them, all they would feed them would be poisonous black paint. And so the little ponies, guinea pigs and humans could not eat that. So if they were captured, this certainly would be their last meal for a very long time. They didn't actually get to Nightmare Land until 7 o'clock. And when they did, they had to park the hot air balloon. So that meant it was about 7:05 when they finally jumped out of the hot air balloon and began to walk around. They didn't find anything for the first 10 minutes, but then at 7:15, Pinkie Pie motioned for the others to come over to where she was standing just behind a tree. The ponies, guinea pigs and humans walked over to her and found that in the tree there was a tree house and a rope ladder hung down from the door. Dodge and Twinkle, together with their owners and Desiree, climbed up the ladder, while Lofty, Pinkie Pie, Jackie, Sparkle and Splodge stayed down on the ground. They had found another tree that was hollow inside, and so they hid inside this, while the other 5 looked inside the treehouse. When they got to the top, the ponies, guinea pigs and human looked inside the door and saw a desk with a chair up to it. There was a waste paper bin by the side of the chair, and there was also a cupboard on one of the walls. Desiree walked straight over to the desk and found something that interested her very much. But there on the desk was a red diary, and it said on the front that it was a 2002 diary. There was a sticker stuck under the year that said, "This belongs to," and its owner had written in her name, Mary Cluckton. Desiree quickly opened the book and found that a ribbon had been placed inside it. A red ribbon. And the red ribbon had been placed, obviously, in a page that Mary had been reading when she was last in the treehouse. But, sadly, she had been doing something other than reading. By the side of the diary, there lay a fountain pen, and a lot of the diary had got black ink all over it, scribbling out vital words. Desiree quickly called Dodge and his owner over, while Truly investigated the cupboard, and Twinkle knocked over the waste paper bin in search of crucial evidence. Although more likely he was looking for slices of celery. "This must be Mary Cluckton's diary from 2002, said Desiree. "This is what it says from May the 15th, and I get the feeling she's been reading this recently, because this bookmark was inside." Desiree began to read the page. But, as I said before, a lot of it had been scribbled out. May the 15th, 2002, it read, "Today I put my plan into action. I went to and found I managed to them and brought them back to them in a later this evening. When I returned home, I found that they were still there, but were loudly. So I decided to put a stop to that as quickly as possible. I went out and up into my treehouse. I walked over to my desk and got hold of my paint. When I brought it back to the house, they had stopped and were looking at me in fear. First of all, I dragged out of the cage. I pulled the little over to my desk and managed to put it up on top of the desk. But I didn't care. I dipped in my and began to. As I worked, the continued to scream, but once I'd added on the last of, it suddenly stopped screaming and sat and looked at me. "I will do whatever you ask, Mary," it said. I was glad to hear that. Then I went over to it. He wouldn't fit on but I managed to drag him over and began to do my work. When I had finished, both of them looked at me and agreed that they would do anything that I said. So I took them back up to that very strange place that I was to help. Although they didn't know that I wouldn't help them. They didn't know that I had other plans. I took and to their new home. I quickly told them that this was where they were going to live now, and went back down there to my own house before my parents wondered where I was. I decided that I would leave there with his original name, which is... This word had only just started to be scribbled out. Obviously Mary had been disturbed. It appeared to have 6 letters and ended in K-I-E. Sadly, there was only half a sentence after this, but she hadn't damaged that. And it read, "But I decided to name the pony the Black Pony of Darkness."
Well, if she hasn't scribbled any other words out on that page, surely the rest of the book is safe as well,
said Dodge. "I'm sorry, Dodge," said Desiree, "but that is where the diary ends. It says that it continues into another diary. 2002, May to December. But I don't know where the diary is."
Well, we could always go and see what my owners found out in the cupboard,
said Twinkle. Twinkle quickly led the others over to his owner, who was rummaging around in the cupboard.
"Have you found anything?"
said Dodge. "Well, nothing that'd be of any use to us. There are just loads and loads of diaries, all with different people's names written on them. I found diaries for Mary Cluckton, Eleanor Glastonbury, Ashley Vermilio, Susan Dewberry, Ronnie Leach, Rob Woolley, and Holly Smith. All of the helpers, apart from 2, that we know about. And I've also found diaries for 3 other helpers. I don't want to interrupt you, said Desiree, but you haven't found a diary for Mary Clockton from May to December 2002, have you? Oh yes, I did see one. Why do you want it? They're no good to us. They've all got padlocks on them, and I don't know where they keep the keys. 'Cause I haven't found any keys.
Well, probably they keep them with them,
said Dodge.
So it doesn't seem like that's going to be any good either.
No, but I have found out who 3 other helpers are. John Dunnington, Mark Alder, and Michael Akers.
Is Mark Alder related to you, Desiree? He has the same surname.
Mark. I should have known, said Desiree. And John as well. Stupid Michael Akers. How could I have ever thought that they weren't Black Pony helpers? Well, come on then. Who are they?
Hey, everybody!
Kind of a voice from the door. They looked and saw Splodge in the doorway, having climbed the ladder.
I don't know what you're going to do now, but there's a girl, and she's got black hair, and she's coming, and she's gonna come up into the treehouse at any moment. I mean, we're all safe. Well, I'm not now, because she's coming.
Desiree peered out of the window and saw with shock that Splodge was right. It was Mary Clockton, and she was climbing up the rope ladder towards them. Oh no, what are we going to do? Said Desiree. We can't go down the rope ladder, or we'll fall straight into her, and then she'll just take us off to the castle.
Well, I could hide in the waste paper bin,
said Splodge.
And so could I. And me?
Said Twinkle. I don't think so, Twinkle. You knocked it over. And that means that Mary would notice. Not if we pick it up and put the paper on top of them. But then, I don't know, where can we go? Because if Mary sees us, she'll capture the guinea pigs anyway. Because she'll search the whole place thoroughly.
Well, at least this time, Jackie, Sparkle, Lofty and Pinkie Pie know. So hopefully, they'll come and help us,
said Splodge. Unless they don't realise that we've been taken anywhere. And they think that we're still in the treehouse, and they come up here and get captured themselves. Because they certainly would get captured if they went anywhere near Mary. So how could they escape? Find out on side B of tape 4, Who Are the Human Helpers?